And we will now recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Eben, would you mind leading us? Thank you.
Place right hand over your heart. Ready to begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item number 8.1 is public testimony. During meetings of the Board of Trustees, members of the public have an opportunity to comment on items that appear on the agenda, regular or special meetings, or items that do not appear on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each item or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. Speakers may not yield or donate any of their speaking time to another speaker. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that the additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. However, we only have one person present tonight for public comment, and that's Ms. Sonia Colchado.
Good evening, board members. I do have 2 separate comments on 2 separate topics, so I'll be dividing that time up, doing the 2 things. All right, good evening, board members. So I'm here, my first item is, I know that there will be a presentation tonight on the expanded learning plan. So I did take some time to read the plan over, and I have some questions for you to reflect on tonight. So upon reviewing the plan, I just had some questions regarding the timeline that this plan was kind of written for. So I know it starts like in 2005, but like what year does that go up to? I had also requested multiple times, once here at the board meeting, and then I had emailed, sent an email out to Dr. Brown and Mr. Griffin as well, requesting a public hearing or an opportunity for families to read the plan and ask their questions as well, because they're the ones that are using the services for expanded learning. So I'm just asking again if that would be something that's available for families. Also, the section regarding access, I feel there needs to be some clarification there with the district liaisons attending back to school night and the welcome back event at the district. I was at a lot of these events as a FACE co-chair, and I did see representation there from Expanded Learning, which I think was great. But the plan does reflect that at the time, the liaisons were there to assist with enrollment, but enrollment had already taken place for expanded learning by the time the back to school nights were taking place and by the time the welcome back took place. So I don't think that's a fairly accurate depiction of what occurred at that time. There's also no mention of the lottery that took place. So after families were given the opportunity to enroll for expanded learning through Attendly, then there was a shift into now we're going to do a lottery, and that's how people are going to get their spots. So there were a lot of students that qualify as UPP, either through English learners or socially economically disadvantaged, that didn't get a spot. I have a personal friend who's still kind of waiting to get a spot at Starlight. She's a single mom, having a difficult time being able to access that service. So I think that should be reflected in the plan as well. I did see something about transportation. My kids have personally participated in expanded learning for years. I've never seen this option offered. I did see some clarification being that you use the city transportation for that, but I think that needs to be clarified. It seems a little misleading on the transportation issue. Field trips were also mentioned in the plan. I've also never seen any field trip advertised like after school or in the weekends. I think there's been a lot of success with the summer programs and the intercession. There's been some, activities that are brought to students that my kids have participated in that are great, but I'm a little confused about the field trip explanation there, because they were field trips to like the museum or somewhere outside, where I've never seen that promoted. Also, I'm also curious to know when the planning phase took place, to get feedback on this plan. I did see some reference to community surveys. I'm just wondering when those were distributed. Focus groups, I never saw advertised. School site council feedback, I participate in school site council, I have friends that do so as well, and they didn't hear anything of feedback for expanded learning plan, so I'm not sure where that was. There's also a reference to the district advisory committee listed in section 9. That seemed a little bit vague. I think it needs to be specific as to which advisory committee was consulted. I know for FACE, there wasn't someone from ELOP that was able to attend our meeting at that time. I believe I know which district advisory committee, but I think that needs to be specifically addressed so that we know what committee was kind of asked for feedback in that regards. Also, the piece on multiple languages, I think I've spoken multiple times on being able to have multiple languages available for being able to share information. So it specifically says, through the intentional use of bilingual communication, accessible technology, and equitable enrollment practices, Beaumont USD ensures that all families are informed. I, again, have a friend who was trying to reach someone and try to address this issue with getting her daughter enrolled in expanded learning, and she goes, I had a really hard time communicating with somebody because there was nobody that spoke Spanish. So I think that needs to be reflected here. I think there's obviously a need. I know I've addressed the board on that before. I mean, even the plan itself, right, it's in English. If we have a large Spanish-speaking community here, how would they be able to give feedback on this, or be able to read this, or see how we can continue to build on the expanded learning plan? Okay, that's all I have for that.
Thank you. We're going to actually set the timer for the next one. We got off track. So thank you for pausing to allow us to do that.
Okay, no problem. The next one is fairly short. So I was reviewing some of the board policies and I think administrative policies that you're going to be reviewing today. The only one I had kind of a question or concern was board policy 6142.1C. So I'm pretty well versed with the California Healthy Youth Act, and so I was reviewing a lot of the language here. The only one was number 11, where it says, teach the value of and prepare students to have and maintain committed relationships such as marriage. I think it's the combination of words that are used kind of in that sentence. Committed relationships may or may not be marriage, and marriage might not be an option for all, especially, you know, if there's couples that are in same-sex marriages, sometimes it's not necessarily available or it's not an option. So I would review that language, also using the value of, I think just addressing committed relationships, that's really important, and I know that CHAYA is really, they do focus on addressing that particular language. It's just for me adding in the marriage as an example. If that could be kind of changed or worded differently, I think that would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. 9.0, section 9.0 is pupil personnel. 9.1, approve the recommended action for student discipline case number 202526-06. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by David, seconded by Lance. Any discussion? Call for a vote. Motion carries. And section 10 is oral reports. 10.1, we do have a report out from closed session, and that would be Lance.
Good evening, Superintendent Kakish, board member, Madam President, board members, cabinet members. 6.5 pursuant to Government Code 54957, Public Employee Discipline Dismissal Release. In closed session, it was moved by David Sanchez and seconded by Jeff Brown to approve the dismissal of employee number 331801. There were 4 in favor and 1 abstention.
Thank you. 10.2, receive a report from Student Board Member Petra Rathfelder.
Good evening, board members, cabinet, and community members. I'm excited to share our elementary school site's great events, activities, and accomplishments. Students and teachers at Anahaus Elementary School have been working hard all trimester, from small group interventions to the great shakeout, but of course, there has still been time for fun and inspiration, including learning about cow biology at Lollipop and Emma of the California Dairy Council. The Duke Squad Assembly, courtesy of the Anahaus Parent-Teacher Association, focused on working hard to achieve their goals. Mr. Jacob Kirchgater was named the Employee of the Year, and Mrs. Gabrielle Starbuck was named the Teacher of the Year. This year's annual Fall Festival event welcomed hundreds of families with trunk-or-treat, costume, carnival games, food, music, and of course the World Series. 5th grade students at Brookside Elementary School completed the Amazing Shake competition. Students were taught professional skills like manners, respect, discipline, and poise. Congratulations to Mrs. Calderwood and Mrs. Hernandez for being the school's Teacher and Employee of the Year. Congratulations to Brookside Parent-Teacher Association for a successful Harvest Festival and for all the hard work and bringing the Brookside community together. Palm Innovation Academy participated in the annual Walk to School Day. On the 50th day of school, teachers and students dressed up for the 50s themed Spirit Day, wearing poodle skirts, slick back hair, and school spirit. Palm Innovation Academy hosted their first ever Family Read Day. Parents were excited to share a story with their child, making an amazing show of community and a love for reading. Congratulations to Starlight Elementary School's Employee of the Year, Mrs. Thomas McCall. Also, congratulations to Mr. Juarez, who was recognized not only as Starlight's Teacher of the Year, but also as Beaumont Unified's Teachers of the Year. Mrs. Reagan's class has been learning about community leaders and had a special guest this week, Beaumont Mayor Mike Lara. Students enjoyed hearing about Mayor Lara's role in serving the community. Our traditional kindergarten students completed the first cycle of inquiry focused on name recognition using high-impact strategies such as name puzzles, daily name songs, and chants. The number of students who could recognize their names in print within 15 seconds increased from a 39 out of 60 to 54 out of 60. Using modeling and multisensory activities, Starlight Elementary School increased the number of kindergarten students able to write their names by 32%. Mrs. Woods was named the Sundance Elementary School's Teacher of the Year, and Mrs. LaFleur was named the Classified Employee of the Year. As a part of Sundance Elementary School's fundraiser initiative, the transitional kindergarten principal for the day did a great job leading the school. Thank you to Principal Rodriguez, who helped out on Boss's Day to give Mrs. Farias a break. Sundance Elementary School was honored to be visited by the superintendent and cabinet members to recognize Ms. Bugley, the district's Counselor of the Year. Three Rings Ranch Elementary School is proud to honor the Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Brooks, as well as the Classified Employee of the Year, Mr. Rick Talinsky, for maintenance and operations. Student and staff said goodbye to Three Rings Ranch Elementary's assistant principal, Mr. Kaiser, on his last day. They were sorry to see him go. Three Rings Ranch Elementary School's annual college and career fair was a great success, with over 50 different career fields represented from various volunteers, communities, and businesses. Tournament Hills Elementary School celebrated the Teacher and Employee of the Year. Congratulations to the second grade teacher, Ms. Henry, and the library media technician, Mrs. Boyd. Students that had a 95% or better attendance during the month of September were randomly selected to receive prizes from Student Services. The school's Harvest Carnival was a huge success, thanks to the Parents Teachers Association for their help. Summerwind Trails Elementary School parents and staff participated on National Walk to School Day. Thank you to the Riverside Sheriff Department for keeping students and staff safe. Students and staff celebrated International Dot Day to encourage creativity, courage, and collaboration, one dot at a time. In rock and roll 50 style, staff and students celebrated at Summerwind Trails Elementary Schools. Students participated in their first fire drill and evacuation. Learning the proper procedures is a must in case of an emergency. As always, thank you to all of our parents, families, staffs, and students and staff. This concludes the presentation on events and activities taking place at our elementary school sites.
Thank you, Petra. 10.3, receive a report from the superintendent and review the district calendar for the months of October and November 2025.
Good evening, everyone. I will start where Petra left off, which is the Great Shakeout, which the whole district has participated in. And, you never can be prepared for a disaster. And I think this exercise was an opportunity for us to learn some of the holes that we have in our system. And we're able to now identify what's our next steps to actually do training and identify, even in an area where you identify who your members are in each category, there was some improvement that can be done to enhance our safety in an event of a disaster. So very proud of our team that organized the shakeout and the follow-up meetings after that. We are so proud of Glenview for, I don't know how many times, but since I've been here, this is the second time that they have been recognized as Model Continuation High School. And that is by the Continuation Education Association. And so CDE and that body recognizes continuation schools that have exemplary programs to serve our students. And we are so proud of Glenview getting that again for the duration of 25 to 28 school years. So we'll be celebrating with them, I think, sometime in the spring, and we will share that date with our board. And now on to a lot of recognitions. As you saw in Petra's email, there was a lot of recognitions for Teacher of the Year, Classified of the Year at each individual site, including the district office. But we also identify that those categories at the district level. So what I'll share with you, some of our highlights from district level recognition. We have 2 teachers that are District Teachers of the Year. The first one is April Nunez in Summerwind Trails School. So proud of them. And then Pedro Juarez from Starlight Elementary School. And just a note, I think in this case, Pedro was a classified member in your school when you were in... He was a teacher in Vista High School. So they go back a long time, and seeing Pedro all the way to Teacher of the Year recognition was emotional for Dr. Brown. And then Lou, and many of you are familiar with Lou maybe at San Gregorio Middle School, was our District Classified Employee of the Year. And Catherine Mayfield, the next slide, is the Certificate Administrator of the Year at Palm Innovation Academy. And at the same school, the Principal of the Year, although we have another slide for that, but I just want to highlight that the Principal of the Year also at Palm Innovation Academy, Mrs. Lopez. Classified Administrator of the Year is Amanda Casetta. She was shocked, yes. That's a good capture picture.
I love that.
She was very honored. And here's another recognition just for Mrs. Lopez. Our Counselor of the Year was at Sundance Elementary School, Jamie Buckley. And our Educational Support Facility Site Support Employee of the Year was Emily Smith. She's the District Site Support Employee of the Year, but it happens to be here at the ESF. Confidential Employee of the Year, Desiree Atsuka at Human Resources. So very proud of all of them. They were, I'm amazed because nobody leaked information and they were all very surprised to receive the recognition, including Desiree that organizes this whole thing. I don't know how you guys got away with it. So we were very pleased. As far as the calendar, there's really not much left of October, so we didn't really highlight anything in October. And we will concentrate on November events. I just want to highlight that Student of the Month recognition is on November 4th. Our vocational nurse graduation is going to be on November 6th, and I know how dear to your heart that is. I hope that you're available for that. And any of the board members are welcome to attend Class 38 graduation. November 7th, we have district e-sport tournaments, brings back memories to our board president.
Yes.
And then we have Veterans Day, and to honor our veterans, we will be closed on November 11th. I will highlight that we are holding our first Superintendent Facilities Advisory meeting on November 17th, and we have invited, I would say, many of our stakeholders and educational partners from community members, parents, including our students. I hope Petra received an email to invite you to this. Again, it's voluntary, and I know it's a very hard commitment for people, but we would like to include as many stakeholders as possible. November 18th, we have the regular board meeting, the only meeting in November, and LCAP Advisory Committee meeting will take place on November 19th, and we will be closed as a district on the 27th and the 28th in recognition of Thanksgiving holiday. And that is my report, Madam President.
All right, thank you.
Can I clarify something?
Uh-huh.
We're closed all week, Thanksgiving week, right?
Schools are closed, but as a district, we're open the first 3 days, and we're only closed Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. 11.0 is consent agenda. Actions prepared for consent agenda items are consistent with adopted and approved policies of the district and are deemed routine in nature. They will be acted upon in one motion without discussion unless any member of the Board of Trustees requests that an item be removed from the consent agenda. In that event, it will be taken up in the order indicated on the main agenda. Are there any board members that wish to pull an item from the consent agenda? In that case, do I have a motion to approve items 11.2 to 11.6?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Lance, seconded by David. Vote. And the motion carries. (13.0) is special legal and discussion items. 13.1.
Madam President,
Yes.
if you wouldn't mind, can we talk about pretty much all of them together at one time? Because there are some pieces in one that are driven by another item, another board policy.
Sure, so we can go ahead and open the floor for discussion on 13.1 through 13.5,
13.5?
and then vote separately on each.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Does that work? Okay. So we'll go ahead and open up for discussion on the BP and ARs as a whole, and then go back through and we'll vote on each one. Okay, any discussion? I'm assuming there is.
Okay. I'm going to direct a lot of my questions towards HR. That's where I'm.
Move that microphone.
Yeah, move it. I noticed with the school bus drivers, marijuana use outside of school work time, and then
Which one are you on?
well, I'm on multiple.
Okay.
It'll be 3.1. Give me just a second so I can move around and see where I put my notes. 3.2.
You're talking about
I mean, 13.1.
Oh, 13.2, sorry. Words are hard for me.
find these. Find ARBP numbers.
Well, no, I want situational stuff at the moment.
Oh,
So after reading what was recommended for the marijuana use outside of school hours, is that something we would routinely test bus drivers for who transport our students?
I'm not completely sure as far as CHP goes, but as far as the district, we don't routinely test for marijuana for our bus drivers.
Okay, because one of the policies says that we can't do anything to an employee who uses recreational marijuana
Outside
of school hours.
of, when they're not driving students on a bus, because they could be driving students on a bus outside of school hours.
Yes.
So if they're under the influence, just as if they were to be under the influence of alcohol, we would then take them to get tested in that event, or call the police to have them do a
Okay.
sobriety test.
Is the employee who is a bus driver being seen by other adults when they're picking up their bus, or are they only being, the people around them are only children? Is there a point in time where before this person is picking up children, that such a call could be made?
So, and Ken and Sergio could jump in, but when they check into the bus yard, there is an administrator on site, which is Cassandra, who's there when they get there, because, as well as the other employees.
Okay. The next question I had to deal with, this one might get me in a little bit of trouble.
And
but-
David, I just want to add that there's also, some buses have aides that ride to the bus with them in the mornings, and they do meet at the bus barn and then, or at the site where they pick up the aides and then take them back and forth. And they also have a lot of contact with site personnel, to include teachers when they're getting the kiddos off the bus, as well as admin.
Okay. And again, my intention is not to pick on bus drivers, but these are the policies. And just recently, over the weekend, we saw someone who had a commercial license create a wreck here in California on Interstate 10. What are the provisions that gave the individual as a truck driver the same set of rules that apply to bus drivers?
And I will refer to Ken on that one, because they're governed by CHP, and so he'll be able to.
Good afternoon, board members and superintendent. Our bus drivers are regulated by the Department of Motor Vehicles, and their commercial licenses are issued by them and then maintained and monitored by the CHP. So to go back to marijuana use, all of our bus drivers, as a condition of their license, are on a random drug testing program, and so they will be pulled in randomly, and that order comes from the DMV to us, and we take them for testing, so they are monitored. And it is a zero tolerance for a commercial driver's license if they test positive for any type of banned substance or marijuana, we'll just keep it there, or drugs. They will lose their license at that point, so they will not be able to drive for us. So that's the most stringent piece of the commercial driver's license that impacts our bus drivers, and where compliance is enforced statewide.
Statewide. So we're dealing with, now, if there's federal guidelines on a commercial driver's license, that currently does not apply for drivers within California? I'm trying to use my words very carefully.
Can I ask you a question to clarify
Yes.
that point?
Yes.
So for example, marijuana is legal in California, and so is alcohol is legal for a person over 21, right? So you could be drinking off hours, and as long as you are not testing intoxicated when they do the test, that's the illegal part. So the fact that you had marijuana during off hours, as long as you pass and you're not intoxicated when you're driving, when they do that test, it's the same as alcohol. So the zero tolerance is for anybody under the influence, even if it's a legal substance. So that's the security that we have to make sure that our students are safe.
No, that's true. And again, what I'm concerned about too are what they call edibles now. And we wouldn't know a gummy from a gummy, I guess. One with THC or just sugar.
I have an unfortunate story or experience with that in Riverside, where a driver was given edibles and for a birthday party, and was drug tested and tested positive, and that driver lost his license, and hence lost his job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And again, this is why I needed all the policies, because I need to work through my questions because there's multiple policies for tonight. The next one I wanted to ask about was with HR, had to deal with, I'll give this scenario. In the neighboring district, Banning Central School, they had a Mandarin program, very successful, went on for 3 years. The teacher, the teacher had a visa from China to be in the United States, and her visa expired. When her visa expired, her contract was not renewed. The district knew it was not, because the district actually sponsored the visa. We have a policy tonight that says that we cannot ask a person's status of citizenship, which is going to be added to our policy tonight, which is new. What would you do in that situation?
Well, it still doesn't take away the fact that they still always have to complete an I-9 to say that they are guaranteeing that they are able to be employed in, able to be employed in the United States in our organization. So that is what we have to show that they are. If we have reason to believe, I don't think that the policy keeps us from being able to, if we have reason to believe, to ask for further documentation.
Okay, because I don't want to see a situation, because again, I'm bringing up situations because we had the accident on I-10 with a commercial driver's license, and then we had the superintendent from Ohio who, again, had made it through the system, I guess, for lack of better terms. What would, and again, I was wondering I wanted to know from HR, if we had someone, just like with the scenario I gave you in Banning, will our policy still allow us to confront that person? And if we confront them, would we be in violation of our own policy, where a teacher who has their credential expire, they can still teach, they're just not getting a paycheck?
If they have an expired credential, they can't teach. They can't come to work.
But they're still an employee.
And we would have to go through the process in order to dismiss them or continue their employment.
We still have to go through a process.
Right.
And we're allowed to confront that person that their credential is no longer valid.
Right.
Are we allowed, and the policy that we might approve, does that language for like a visa requirement allow us to have that discussion?
I can get more information as to what we would be able to do specifically in that situation and bring it back to you. But if they cannot work and they do not have a credential, we would have every right to move forward through the appropriate process in order to remove them from their employment.
Okay, because it's under the protected civil rights area for California in that board policy. Just like we couldn't ask about someone's sexual orientation. That's not allowed. So, and again, since it was in that same
So if I were to describe how we view that, so for example, our students would identify their gender in the system, right? But we're not allowed to ask them that verbally. It's going to be similar to that, like that we're not allowed to just go and ask anyone for their citizen status or their legal resident status. But the fact is, if we have any information that alludes to the fact that they are not able to work because of their legal status, we are for sure allowed to revoke their employment. So I think the intention and the policy is written in a way that prevents people from stopping anyone to ask them about their legal status as an employee.
Yeah, because it's in the non-discrimination
Yeah.
section.
But it doesn't mean that if we have reason to believe that they're no longer a legal resident available to actually be employed, we have all the right to go through the process to validate that and start a process of dismissal if necessary.
We actually legally have to, right?
Yes. Yes, we can't employ anyone. Still, that law didn't change. We can't employ anyone that doesn't have the legal rights to be employed.
Right.
So what you're talking about, there's some,
Well, you could have the legal right to be employed because, again, California gave a truck driver, someone who didn't have legal status. to
as a
drive
government
truck.
entity. I mean,
Yes.
there is some trucking companies that might be private that allows that, but as a government entity, we're not allowed to work anyone without an I-9. Through the I-9 process, we validate
But we
their right
don't
to
know
work.
if that I-9 process has an well, I-9s do have an expiration. If they met the qualifying conditions for an adjustment of status.
Right.
If they did not meet that, then of course.
Yeah, every I-9 visa that is that is not permanent has an expiration date, and our process would note that. And so there is a renewal process for all of those that are not permanent. But if they have permanent legal resident, like green card, or they have a permanent citizenship, then there is no checking after the fact. But if they are working on a transfer, exchange, or a temporary I-9 status for employment, like the ones that are under asylum, for example. We have people that are in the country because they fled their countries. There is a process in the immigration process to give them visa to work. That has an expiration date, and our HR department would notate that if we were to employ. We can't discriminate against employment for anyone with that, but we also have a process for expiration dates and renewals, just like TB testing. We go back and do those too.
And I want to add that even though the fact that we're adding in red immigration status, we do have language in BP 4030A that references 2 CCR 11028 that says the district shall not inquire into any employee's immigration status nor discriminate against an employee on the basis of immigration status unless there is clear and convincing evidence that such inquiry is necessary to comply with federal immigration law.
Federal, okay. I could live with that one. And I think that is it for all the scenarios I have to throw at you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
He opened all of them.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
we're open for discussion on any of, is there any other discussion?
I have one. So on BP, I don't know if it's a BP or an AR, 6141.2, board policy, looks like BP. Second paragraph. 6141.2. So this is the one that,
13.4.
oh, sorry. It just, they crossed out, a preference be shown for one religious viewpoint over another. Staff members are crossed out, and teachers and other district staff is replaced with that. I think it should just be all staff members. I don't know why we changed it to teachers and other district staff.
Is that under HR policies?
No.
6-1.
That's instruction, yeah.
Okay.
Instruction.
6142 point what?
6141.2.
61.2. ARBP.
Can you open it and put it on?
I don't know what it is, it doesn't say. I think it's a board policy, but
The third paragraph,
I see.
Suzie. Staff. Staff shall not endorse, encourage.
Is it because it's is the section on instruction?
No,
I agree. I mean, shouldn't matter whether it's a teacher or anybody else.
right, that's all I'm saying,
Yeah.
is I think we could leave it, put all staff members, take out teachers and other district staff, and just add all staff
Is there a
members.
reason for identifying those two?
Yeah, there's no specific reason. I think it's just a different way of saying staff. I mean, we can revert back to all staff or change it, because I think it says staff members now.
Says
We can
staff
change it to
members
all
right now.
staff.
And so they cross it out and put teachers and other district
Teachers and
staff.
other district
And I
staff.
say we take out both of those and put all staff members.
Well, that's my question. I'm asking, is there a reason they crossed out staff members and specifically identified teachers and?
It's difficult for us to really know why CSBA does certain things. The only thing that we could maybe surmise from it is that they're pointing out teachers, because that's typically when a specific, like when religion is taught, and it is taught in some of our courses as for historical context. So it may be that purpose, but I tend to agree. I mean, it should be all staff. All staff should adhere to these guidelines.
And if it's, with the will of the board, we can just approve as amended in the event you are
Right.
okay with everything else in the policy.
Yeah,
I like all staff.
I don't like staff members, but I do like all staff.
All staff. Mhm.
yeah.
I was just trying to figure out if there was a reason why.
I think staff members
Yeah.
is vague, and they were trying to clarify because somebody challenged that term. But I think all
Could be.
staff cannot be challenged.
Right.
Right.
Well, and the suggestions are just that, they're suggestions by CSBA.
Right.
On wording, and so it really is up to us what we want to have in there.
Right.
My guess is that it's because it's specifically talking about instruction, but either way, all staff covers that
Right.
just as well.
I think they probably look at the words in context of
Right.
legal cases or maybe litigation. But I don't see any harm in teachers and other district staff versus all staff.
Question for HR is, would all staff include ACES or Boys and Girls Club?
No.
So it would include any of them that are employed by us, whereas some of the Boys and Girls Club is employed by Boys and Girls, so they would not be our staff.
Okay, because I'm hearing what Lance is making a statement about, maybe there was a reason, because it does say teachers and other district staff, and if we say all staff,
Right.
could there be some ambiguity that includes our external programs that we contract with? I'm just throwing that out.
So even if it does include it, our expectation in the contract that our staff are following our policies that we have in our district when we serve our students. So if it's a contracted staff, all staff will include them. And I don't think we don't have the right to do that. I think we have the right to do that. I shouldn't be saying the double negative. So all staff would be recommended.
Right, because there's itinerant speech and contract aides and.
W-9 workers, yeah.
Yeah, we
All
have
kinds, yeah.
contracted instructional assistants that we would like them to follow the same thing, so.
Right.
It would be all staff, whether it's contracted or employed by the district.
So is this an amendment to?
I guess what we're trying to do here is amend it to say all staff, continue to strike staff members, add all staff, and strike teachers and other district staff. And we can leave it for approval today. We don't have to bring it back unless we want to change something else.
Any other discussion?
I have another one. This is for the question, AR 5145.71H. Emergency removal from school First paragraph, it's a new paragraph, but the last line says, additionally, this authority to remove a student does not modify a student's rights under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act or Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act.
51, 57?
What does that mean?
Is it under 13.350 AR 5145.71?
Yeah, 5145.71H.
Under 13.3.
Can you put that one too?
I'm not understanding it. Just go ahead.
That's for the Title IX, correct? Yes, it is. Okay. So when, in cases of sexual assault, sexual battery, instances where there is, the child is deemed a considerable threat to the school population or environment, we can, if a family chooses to do Title IX, it could take quite a while before the investigation is complete. So in the event of that, we cannot render consequences immediately. We have to wait for the investigation to be complete. So we would potentially have to do an emergency removal of the student for the duration of the Title IX investigation. With that emergency removal, doesn't take away the rights of the student through their the services or the
Under the 504 plan or the
under the
disability
504
plan.
or under IDEA.
So what does that mean? That they would continue getting services, right? Is that
Probably.
Yes.
I'm just trying to clarify in my own head.
So for example, like if
Yeah.
the student has speech and we are removing them from the situation, from the school due to a safety issue, we still have a legal requirement to provide those services for
Okay.
those
There would be a
students.
setting change on that,
We would
but not a
have,
service.
there's that 45-day placement. We still have a responsibility to provide a level of faith at that point. So we would follow kind of process side by side to ensure that students are still receiving the supports while the investigation is taking place.
What happens if it's a, not a special education student? What happens?
So in that case, there is still an emergency removal. It could potentially take place if it's deemed that the child is a safety risk. We would determine that through a risk rubric, right, that we would go through to identify the level of risk that the student is at. And if in fact it's deemed that the child is a significant risk to the student population, that student would be removed for the duration of the investigation until the findings of the investigation were
They
provided.
could be also placed in an alternative setting, right?
If it's an emergency removal, typically in the case of a non-general education student,
A student without.
a student without an IEP, we're going to remove them from the academic setting. They could receive 21st century, they could receive some type of online support.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And
then
then once
if
the
it-
investigation's done, then they would, proper consequences would be rendered if appropriate, and then next steps would be decided at that point. Is it suspension, expulsion?
Okay.
No findings, depending upon what the outcome is.
And if it is a special ed student, the services would just be provided at wherever they're attending school, or?
It depends on the
Virtual.
the level of service that the student has. For example, the student may be accessing 21st century. We would have to find an alternative placement option for those 45 days that still supports the student. So it can look like a different program. It could look like a non-public school, 21st century learning. It really depends on the needs of the student.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. I think that's all. I think that's it. That was a lot.
No, it's okay, and this is important. Any further discussion? Okay, so I'm going to start back with 13.1 and work our way through each one of these
Well, I forgot
agenda
which ones.
items.
Well, yeah, so now which ones are we bringing any back?
We're going to go item by item, and we're going to,
Do you know which ones you want to bring back, David?
No, she answered my question
Okay,
to a satisfactory level.
okay.
And
so-
the only one that we are
Change is the
amending
one
is
that I brought up.
6,000.
Correct.
Yeah.
but
just wanna
we'll,
make sure we all
we'll cross
understand
that
what's
bridge when we
happening.
get to
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So 13.1, conduct a first reading of the Beaumont Unified School District's board policies and administrative regulations regarding business and non-instructional operation, 3,000s as listed in the summary, and adopt if a second reading is not necessary. So is there a motion for these BPs and ARs in this section?
I'll second.
Moved by Lance, seconded by Susie. Call for a vote. Motion carries. 13.2, conduct a first reading of the Beaumont Unified School District's board policies and administrative regulations and Exhibit E regarding personnel, 4,000s as listed in the summary, and adopt if a second reading is not necessary.
So moved.
Moved by David, seconded by Lance. Call for a vote. And motion carries. 13.3, conduct a first reading of Beaumont Unified School District's board policy, administrative regulations, and Exhibit E regarding students, 5,000s as listed in the summary, and adopt if a second reading is not necessary. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by David, seconded by Lance. Call for a vote. And motion carries. Now, it's my understanding that on 13.4, well, I'll read through it, then I'll say that. So conduct a first reading of the Beaumont Unified School District's board policies and administrative regulations regarding instruction, 6,000s as listed in the summary, and adopt if a second reading is not necessary. So,
Motion with-
right, this is whoever would make an emotion
as amended.
might
So-
want to say as amended.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve all of those with the exclusion of 6141.2 under recognition of religious beliefs and customs in the second paragraph. We change it to all staff members. Yeah.
Do we need members?
So you'll.
Pardon, district.
All staff.
All staff,
So you're moving to approve it as discussed
Yes.
with that amendment?
yes.
Okay, so I have a motion by Susie,
Second.
second by Lance. Did you get that, April? Okay. Okay. Okay, call for a vote. And motion carries as amended. All right.
One more thing about that item.
Sure.
Real quick. I just want to thank Sonia Cochado for coming in and speaking on these policies. Not many people sit and read through all these like we do.
Yeah, that was impressive. 13.5, conduct a first reading of Beaumont Unified School District's board policy and administrative regulation regarding facilities, 7,000s, as listed in the summary, and adopt if a second reading is not necessary.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Moved by Susie, seconded by David. Call for a vote. And motion carries. Section 14 is instruction and support services. 14.1, approve the Career Technical Education Advisory Committee, CTEAC, for the 2025-26 school year.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Moved by Susie, seconded by David. Any discussion? Call for a vote.
Thank you to all those people willing to serve on that. It's a lot of people.
And motion carries. 14.2, approve a request for Beaumont Middle College High School student to take additional classes for the 2025-26 school year.
So moved.
Moved by David, seconded by Lance. And as always, I'd just like to say this is pretty impressive to me that a student would be requesting to take additional classes. I don't know the exact circumstances, but I think it's worth mentioning. So, okay, call for a vote. Motion carries. 14.3, approve the quarterly report on Williams uniform complaints for the first quarter of the 2025-26 school year.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by David, seconded by Susie. Any discussion? Call for a vote. Motion carries. 14.4 is an informational item. Receive a report of the formal complaints filed in the district for the first quarter of the 2025-26 school year.
So received.
Any discussion or comments on this?
No.
Okay. 14.5, approve the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program 2025-28 three-year plan.
So, go ahead, David.
I was going to say so moved.
I don't know. Well, go ahead. You can move, and then we can talk.
Well, now I need a second.
Second.
Okay, Lance is going to second it.
Now we can talk.
Okay, now we can talk. Sonia brought up some concerns. Mr. Griffin, do you have any reply to some of her concerns that she had, or no?
If you could go over some of the concerns that she brought up about lack of community involvement.
Is there a specific part that you'd like me to cover?
Okay, let me just ask you this. First off, is there a time frame that this needs to be done?
So it has to be approved every 3 years.
Okay,
The last one was done in 22, so we're up for approval this year.
Okay, so when,
And it goes from 25 to 28.
and when does it have to be done by?
It has to be done during the 25 school year.
Okay.
So it just has to be approved every 3 years.
So she had some concerns, there was many concerns, I'm trying to remember them all. But about
Bilingual support.
bilingual support, community input, parents, and all that sort of stuff. So-
Transportation, field trips.
Yeah, so transportation, we offer transportation to all of our intersessions. We have hubs at all of our school sites, so parents just have to drop their students off. They select if they want transportation. We pick the kids up and we take them back to their hubs. We've been doing that for 3 years at all of our intersessions. Field trips, we partner with our school sites to run experiences, and you've seen reports about the experience that we provided, like sending kids to Catalina or science camps or different things, and these are in partnership with the school sites, and we help support and offset the funds for UPP students that participate in that. I'm thinking there might be some confusion as some of these things that happen may not be branded as expanded learning. They may be branded as school site options.
Because I thought they were school things.
Yeah.
Not
So
even-
many of those things maybe have not been branded as an expanded learning, but they're in partnership with expanded learning. So you'll see in this week, all of the, Day of the Dead celebrations and festivities that are happening at several of our schools this year. Those are all in partnership with expanded learning. All of the murals that have been approved at Sanji, those are all in partnership with expanded learning. So I think there's lots of things that are happening that are a part of the expanded learning process, and lots of students are participating in. They just may not be branded, and that is something that I can work on to make sure that we're branding things so that the communication is getting out about where these things are being provided. We don't want to trump anybody's celebrations at the school sites, but we like to work with them so that they can provide the equitable things that they want to do with their students.
Well, in collaboration with is always, I think, good. That's even playing ground, right?
I'm sorry?
If you don't want to trump whoever is coordinating with you, it's a collaboration.
Yeah, 100%.
At least then people know that it's coming from,
Right.
or in partnership with ELAP.
Yeah, and we want our school sites to shine, and our principals and leaderships
Yeah.
to shine. And so, we're not here to steal the shine off anybody. So we
Yeah.
just want to make sure that our kids are getting cool experiences.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of what we do. So we try to operate kind of in the background a little bit. So I'm thinking there might be some confusion about some of those things.
Do you communicate in both languages?
We do. Yeah, I have multiple classified secretaries who are both bilingual. I'm not sure.
Yeah, one of the concerns that was shared was that it's not
Yeah, and we strive to send out all of our communications in both English and Spanish. I can go back and check to see if we may have missed some, but we,
I was going to say the.
Yeah, she referred to the plan.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that. So the plans, so kind of like the LCAP, once it's approved by the county and all the changes are made, then we have a time frame where we translate that and then we post that out to all the different, websites or wherever they need to go legally.
Okay.
But just so, also the communication device that we all use in the district is Parent Square. And if a parent has a language other than English that they check as their language spoken at home, Parent Square actually translates for us all those messages. So they receive the messages, even though we generate it in English, they receive it in multiple different languages. I don't know I'm not sure how many languages Parent Square translates, but it's quite a few. And so they'll get that communication in the language they have selected.
and that goes for Tinley as well, which is our student management system.
Is it possible that something is falling through the cracks since it seems that they're not getting it?
Potentially, there's always a chance of something. Again, we have staffing in my office that they're bilingual and they speak daily with parents who are Spanish speaking. And so if there is, we have phone numbers and websites for people to reach out. So they may have got to the wrong person. So if that happened, I'd love to know who that parent was so that we can make direct contact. That'd be great.
So she also referenced school site councils that were supposed to be a part of it that she said weren't. But, I mean, I don't know. So my question, I think, would be, is there any way that we can maybe clarify these things for this person and then bring it back for approval? If we can just like table this until we can make sure that it's all cleared so that there's no confusion. I want to make sure that, because it is such a family thing, I want to make sure that the parents were actually part of it. Not saying that they weren't, but I'm just trying to clarify because we're hearing from her saying one thing.
Correct. And we don't have a formalized planning. We have 2 months of planning. This is a culmination of multiple years in talking with our school and our principals and our leaderships about what families need. We do talk to families after our intersessions and students. We survey quite frequently. So it's a culmination of all those things, and even just being at those family events at the district level, whether that's the kindergarten roundups or the open houses that we have. So it's kind of all-encompassing. And so when we speak to parents on the phone, we're always intaking and getting information as to what the needs are. And so as far as a formal, we had a 2-month planning period and we did this, that, and the other, it's more extended than that.
I considered it like a mini WASC, actually, for me.
Okay.
And what I meant by that is there's all kinds of community groups, and as the lead for your WASC, you call in representatives to meet with whoever's going to oversee for the validation. You don't invite the entire school site council.
Right.
Well, that's
you pick
what I
one.
meant, yeah.
So,
Yeah, and we participated in several family parent organizations over the last few years and attended
And I
their
think
meetings.
what's in the plan is accurate. What's in the plan meets the requirements by this program. Clarifying it for our member that spoke is absolutely necessary, but it doesn't change the plan.
Correct.
Even if we bring it back, because what we're doing is what's required to continue to make sure that we're in compliance. If we have missed something or something fallen through the crack, we can rectify that by knowing where that is, which parent, and reaching out.
Okay.
I don't think the plan delay would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
so-
that makes sense.
But we will assure you that we will get back with Sonia and make sure that we address, and hopefully we'll get a name of a parent that felt that way, and then maybe we can refer them to the right.
the parent that she brought with her, that had to deal something with a lottery system?
Oh, yeah, that too.
Well, am I remembering correctly that the enrollment procedures changed after the start of the school year
Right.
this year, right?
Right, we just
So
approved
there
them.
would have been people that were enrolled initially that weren't looped into what we approved afterwards. So that
Correct.
was a little.
So we adjusted the AR to make some accommodations that had been requested by the board. That occurred about a month and a half ago,
Right.
if I can recall. So all of the enrollment pieces that would have taken place over the summer were prior to any of those decisions that were made and approved by the board.
So it's highly likely that we won't be having this conversation next year.
Correct.
Because.
Well, somebody else
It's
will.
Or
Somebody else will
or
run.
some version of it.
You know.
It won't be a lottery that we're
And I
discussing.
didn't mean that sarcastically. I meant
No, I know.
that just to draw attention to the fact that it was
Sure.
resolved, but just after the year started. I apologize if that came off wrong.
Yeah. No,
I
if
can
we
do
hear
that
about it, it
sometimes.
will be next year, because enrollment happens every year. The plan doesn't, but the enrollment happens
Yeah.
every year. We're doing so many things to rectify and hope to serve our community better with this program. Whether it's the criteria, whether it's the planning for the space, all of their concerns are heard here and throughout our emails, and we're working on all of them to try to help. We won't be able to accommodate everything, but we are going to enhance it drastically by finding space at the school site.
Well, that's good to hear.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and you have done a really good job at responding to all the issues that come up, and certainly it's kind of like a moving target. I'm sure it feels like at times, because when the community changes, then the needs for your program changes
Sure.
as well. So you've been in the limelight probably more than you would appreciate.
Sorry, Michael.
No,
I was
it's okay.
gonna-
Any other questions?
You may go.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's no limelight.
I was going to say hot seat, but it's not really a hot seat. So we have a motion by David and a second by Lance. Now we'll call for a vote.
Hers is dying over here.
She plugged it? Oh, she just plugged it.
It's just like, it turned off.
It turned off.
It's okay, we have time, you can
Yeah, take it.
figure it out. No pressure. It just seems like it.
Mine used to do that.
Sometimes it does that.
Okay.
There you go.
See?
All right, motion carries. I hate it when that happens.
Technology, it's all good.
People are fast to use.
14.6, approve the revised English learner reclassification procedures.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion by Lance and a second by David. Any discussion? Okay, call for a vote. And motion carries. 14.7, approve the expenditures of Proposition 28 funds for the 2024-25 school year.
So moved.
Go ahead,
Moved by
Lance.
Lance,
Second by Susie.
seconded by Susie. Any discussion? Okay, call for a vote. And motion carries. 14.8, conduct a public hearing to consider certain textbooks obsolete and authorize their removal from district inventory. So I will open this public hearing at 7:19 PM. Would anybody like to talk about this item in the public hearing?
It's an exciting item.
Please form one line. Okay, hearing no discussion, I will close this public hearing at 7:20
Interesting.
PM. Item number 14.9, declare the textbooks listed as obsolete and authorize their proper disposal in accordance with Administrative Regulation 3270. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Susie, seconded by David. Call for a vote. Motion carries. Section 15.0 is Human Resources. 15.1, approve the certificated personnel assignment order listed on the report dated October 28, 2025.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by David, seconded by Susie. Any discussion? I'll call for a vote. Motion carries. 15.2, approve the classified personnel assignment order listed on the report dated October 28, 2025.
Move approval?
Second.
Moved by Susie, seconded by David. Any discussion? Call for a vote. Motion carries. Section 16.0 is business services. 16.1, ratify a memorandum of understanding with Mount San Jacinto Community College and Beaumont Unified School District for the California Adult Education Program from July 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2027. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second. That's right.
Moved by David, seconded by Lance. Any discussion? Call for a vote. And motion carries. 16.2, receive an update on the district's capital facilities program, and this is an informational item. Thank you.
Good evening, President Williamson, board members, and Superintendent Kankish. I'm Amanda Gonzalez. I'm here to give you a quick update on a project that's currently wrapping up and 3 that actually are under construction. So on the agenda, we have Palm Innovation Academy, the new kitchen building. We have the Summerwind Trails K-8 portables. We have now the San Gorgonio Middle School portables and the Mountain View Middle School portables. So the first one, you've seen this one, the Palm New Kitchen. This is currently under construction, and we're currently tracking on the schedule. So it's still scheduled to be completed in April of 2026. I've added some photos here just showing you that now we've completed the framing of the lunch shelter. We've started the framing of the new building, and actually we're going to be starting the plaster work of the kitchen next week. So we are doing really good with our schedule right now.
It looks so good.
Yeah.
It looks really
I'm very
good.
excited for them.
The next project is one that we're actually wrapping up. So this one we gave back to the site in September. They were actually currently using some of the portables already, and this is the Summerwind portables. And so we have photos here of the completed product. So you have 3 classrooms, a new portable restroom, concrete work, and some of our grass that we've actually seeded. And it's currently still in the 90-day maintenance period, so that's why it kind of looks a little funky, but it'll get better. Okay.
Looks so good.
The next one's one that just recently started. So this is the San Gorgonio portables. It started in September, and it's currently slated to complete in February of 26. This one's doing really good. It's currently ahead of schedule. We actually just did a sewer connection, and we're going to complete the sewer tie-in this weekend. And we completed the water line connection too. So these were items that were going to be done during the winter breaks. Then we've scheduled them ahead of schedule, and so we're hopefully going to complete it ahead of schedule.
Nice.
So in the photos, you currently just see some of the grading that's been happening out there. So temporary fencing and then just grading. But it's pretty advanced right now as well. The next one is the Mountain View portables. Again, similar schedule to the San Gorgonio. They started at the same time, September, and slated to be completed in February. This one's also, we had all the blacktop removed. We're doing some grading out there. We started some of the new utilities. So it's currently tracking. This one is still slated to be completed in February of next year, but hopefully we can get some of those activities ongoing in hopefully some of the weekends and continue with the same schedule as San Gorgonio. But they're ongoing right now, and it's looking really good.
Were there
And-
buildings there before?
There was one building that was being used by, I believe, by the Boys and Girls Club. It was an old building. We classified it as HCD. It was a portable that was non-usable. And so it was one that we had talked to the Division of State Architect that we were going to remove in the future. And so with the opportunity that came up with these 4 new buildings that are now going to be added, we removed that building. So now we are compliant with the Division of State Architect.
Good, yeah, I thought there was a building there.
Yep.
Yeah. My son went to Boys and Girls Club in that building, so.
Are we, since you were compliant with portables, are we compliant now with all our portables?
I believe there is 1 or 2 at Palm, and I can't remember exactly the same number. In Glenview, there's one that the charter school's using that we are not utilizing ourselves. So reason why we are compliant, because we're not utilizing it, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. And that is the conclusion of the presentation, unless you have any other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, 17 is reports. 17.1, receive a report from CSEA. Is there anyone here for CSEA? 17.2, receive a report from BTA. I'm using acronyms tonight.
If they can do it, we can do it.
Yes.
So there.
Payback.
Hello, everyone. And bear with me, I have a new electronic device. And I'm still learning. Now I'm ready. Hello, good evening, everyone. Board President Williamson, Board, Cabinets, Superintendent Julio Martinez here with my report for October 28th. So BTA met with Cabinet. We discussed the Superintendent's Facilities Advisory Group. We discussed some other topics, including the club advisor meeting that took place, the TK&K conference coverage, PLC time, EMT process, and classroom safety. I met with Assistant Superintendent Castillo. We talked about things that had to do with unpaid leave and credentialing. I met with CBO San Martin. We discussed some facility issues and concerns, but I really want to thank CBO San Martin. BTA has had some issues with Red Rover and payroll and so forth that we had questions on, and he really went out of his way to help solve and answer those, and I was appreciative because I learned a lot, and that'll help me express to the membership some of the concerns that we had, and I appreciate that. So thank you again for that. That was really informative. Let's see, I met with Dr. Barnett. We had a good discussion on ELA pacing and math support. Talked about some TOSA responsibilities. I plan to meet with Gabby Toledo, Director of Special Ed, still this week, and Assistant Superintendent Dr. Brown as well. Negotiations teams meeting Thursday, so we'll have a little bit of briefing on that for the next report. And let's see, BTA's participated in our district calendar committee, so thank you for inviting us to sit on that. And we'll also have representation at the new MTSS EMT committee that Dr. Brown's setting up, thank you, and an LCAP committee coming up as well. So I appreciate, again, the invitation for BTA to sit on those committees as well. And all I have lastly is I've been asked to invite the board members and cabinet to the 21st Century. They're having a social club Halloween bash tomorrow, October 29th from 1 to 3 at Glenview High School. and they hope to see some of you there, and that extends to cabinet and staff as well. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. 17.3, receive a report from BACME.
Man, every time I get shocked. I don't know what it is. Good evening, President Williamson, Superintendent Kakish, board members, cabinet, and colleagues, and community members. Congratulations are kind of the theme of my report tonight. First off, I want to congratulate all of our district employees of the year, but definitely want to highlight the BACME members who received the recognition as well. Principal of the year, Ely Lopez at Palm Innovation Academy, and her assistant principal, Catherine Mayfield, an amazing team doing amazing work there. Classified Administrator of the Year, Amanda Casetta, who the look on her face and the genuine joy that she has is how she behaves all the time, just very genuine and engaging and just awesome. And then, of course, Confidential Employee of the Year, Desiree Atsuka, and who she supports and how she supports, all employees throughout this district. And now, from Employees of the Year now to school recognitions, definitely want to celebrate Glenview High School and the recommendation for a model continuation school. That definitely is a team effort. However, I definitely want to shout out Dr. Benisha Carr. She works harder than just about anybody that I know, puts more of herself into her students, her staff, and definitely deserves to be celebrated along with her team. So thank you very much. Congratulations to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to 17.4, receive a report from Board Member David Sanchez.
Thank you, MW. Okay, I was going to bring up to the board, we have AB 2158 training that is required. It's the ethics training because of some neighboring school districts, caused an issue, and now we need this training every 2 years. Again, all of us will be due except, I think Ms. Laura might be exempt.
Why?
It's for school board members. It needs to be done by January 1st, 2026. And I received some information from California School Board Association that on November 3rd, I know that's just right around the corner, sorry, from 5 to 7, they're doing a virtual training that meets the requirements for board members. There's also one in Sacramento on December 2nd during the CSBA conference, but that will be from 9:30 to 4 o'clock. So a 2-hour training just seemed more palatable than an 8-hour training.
Jeez.
And again, this is mandated now. I brought the paperwork. I'll hand it off to our superintendent or April. I think it's relevant that board members jump on this as quick as we can because, again, the timeline's very short, November 3rd for just a 2-hour virtual.
What was the time, David?
November 3rd, 5 to 7 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
And again, it's ethics training for board members, which is now required. Again, please don't follow me for stock options. I buy high and sell low. Okay, thank you.
What?
Thank you for that information, David.
You're welcome.
And 17.5, Jeff Brown is not here tonight. 17.6, receive a report from Board Member Susie Laura.
Okay, SL up here wanted to make some comments. Speaking of training, Mr. Julio Martinez might know what I'm talking about. My husband told me that there's a new Brown Act requirements that we're going to need some other training to go with Brown Act. There's all these trainings that we have to do. Can we look into that and find out if there's something we need to do for that?
Yes, absolutely. And we also have the opportunity to do that at CSBA. They always have sessions for Brown Act. And so
Okay.
we'll highlight those and make sure that you're aware of our legal counsel support, really take that and highlight all of the new laws within the Brown Act at the CSBA.
Yeah, because I mean, they
conference.
talked about, we have to go through trainings regarding audits and all kinds of stuff. So I don't know what all is included, so.
Yeah, we'll reach out and make sure CSBA is covering it, and if they're not, we will reach out for our own training.
Okay, all right. Also, I just want to say that the Amazing Shake has already started in some elementary schools, but next month is going to be at the middle schools and whatnot. So just, if you haven't signed up and you want to do it, you got to help these people. There's a lot of volunteers that are needed for this project, and it's near and dear to my heart to see this whole project go through every year because it's so amazing. I say that every year, so you all know how I feel about that. So also want to say thank you for all the hard work on the BPs and the ARs. That was a lot of reading for us, but thank you very much for all the hard work you guys did on those. And also congratulations to Glenview for their model continuation high school. They are really doing some wonderful things there, and I agree with what Dr. Breyer said. Dr. Carr is, she does work really hard, and she deserves the recognition, and so does her site, so thank you for that. And don't forget, Halloween is on Friday, so don't eat too much candy.
Okay, 17.7, receive a report from Dr. Lanston Sylvester.
Good evening, Madam President Williamson, Superintendent Kakish, board members, cabinet members, community, those following. Just wanted to say thank you once again. It really is a turn it on. Yeah. It really is a privilege to serve. I want to thank the board members once again and Superintendent Kakish. Even after they encouraged and supported me, I got a bouquet of flowers and a really thought message that was added to it. So I want to say thank you. I greatly appreciate it. It really said something to my children and my family. So thank you. At the last meeting, I made a comment based on public comments, and we said it was going in the ether, and it did go in the ether. And so I think a positive thing came out of it that the group reached out to me and wanted to communicate. And so we're setting up to meet, and I want to thank them because this is why I'm here. So we can build bridges rather than burn them down. And so I look forward to that.
Lunch, dinner.
Yes, yes. And it really, I feel like I was gone a couple months, but I feel like I missed a lot. And so I look forward to participating in things. And just so you know, I was told that when I came back the last meeting that I had lost half of myself. I won't say who. And I just want to let them know that I'm not going to try to find the half that I lost. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so not much from me tonight, just another congratulations to all of our employees of the year. That really goes a long ways to be recognized by your peers and supervisors. It's very motivating, and it speaks volumes. And obviously Glenview, we all feel so think so highly of Glenview and the work that's done there. And so we will be adjourning to closed session this evening to finish up discussions on item 6.4. And so do I have a motion to adjourn to closed session?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Susie, seconded by David. Call for a vote.
We won't have anything to report out either.
No, we won't have a report out. All right, thank you. Have a safe Halloween, everyone.